Alright, Modern Horizons 3, it's quite a ways away from us, but we know that it's coming. It's gonna show up either like in 2 years or 3 years. So let's speculate on some cards we'd like to see in the format. I'd like to start this conversation off with Stifle. I think, and I very strongly believe this, that activated and triggered abilities are just completely unleashed. There's nothing to keep it in check, or nothing particularly good, because if you like play something like, I don't know, any of those honor guard guys, that, you know, there are no ETBs anymore, that also becomes a problem, because then all of a sudden, you know, the things like fury and solitude, subtlety, endurance can be pitched for free, and they don't have to sacrifice themselves anymore when they enter the battlefield. And in some ways you could say, like, maybe they could do the same thing with Stifle, but I don't think it's necessary. They would just use Ephemerate anyway. But Stifle, I think, would be actually pretty cool for the format. You get to counter certain Planeswalker activated abilities. I mean, if they play an Elemental for free, you just counter the ability and let the evoke resolve, and then it just dies. It'd actually be the perfect answer to all the elementals. Would be a fantastic sideboard card. Not to mention, you can interact with the Cascade decks, the Living End decks, the Crashing Footfall decks, because when they play the Cascade spell, you just counter the trigger, and then basically it does nothing. And sure, yeah, you could do that with any well, you can't do that with any counter spell, because the Living End has to go on the stack, or the Crashing Footfall has to go on the stack. But I'm just saying, there is utility here. There is utility. Disallow? What are you guys going on about? Those are very expensive. This is very cheap. Stifle, I mean, I actually strongly believe that this has to be a 1-mana spell. And at 2 mana, it's like, it's semi-playable, but not really. And then at like 3 mana, it's completely unplayable. Completely unplayable. Now, one more I'd like to see in the format. I don't know how everyone would feel about this. And hey, I'm a blue mage, so I'm going to be biased. Back to basics. I want to see back to basics in this format. Yeah, that's right. The Amulet players and the Tron players, they're groaning right now. They're like, come on, Nikachu, we're not even doing very well right now. I don't care. I really don't care. Non-basic lands are a little too free, and I'd really like to hit those Omnath decks, or at least force them to pull out the basics to play around a second Blood Moon of the format. Non-basic lands do not untap during the controller's untap steps, and if anyone tries to pull any stupid nonsense on me, yeah, that's right. If you be too greedy with your mana base, back to basics are going to take you back to the basics. So I'm the first to make some proposals, but outside from that, let's hear what the community has to say. We've got GP. Thank you so much for the super chat, GP. Good morning, Nikachu. Sinkhole and Price of Progress. Now, Sinkhole, not a chance. Were you nuts? Destroy target land for two black mana? Absolutely not. Never gonna happen. But Price of Progress, that's an interesting one. I don't think this would be too bad for Modern. I think actually Modern could suck it up. I don't know if Modern wants to suck it up, but like, is it too bad that we let burn be relevant for as long as possible? Price of Progress deals damage to each player equal to twice the number of non-basic lands that player controls. Omnath, you want those? You want that tri-land? You want those triomes? The dual lands? Well, you're gonna get smashed to the face. You shocked yourself, and you're gonna get shocked again. The Price of Progress is gonna come down. How would anyone feel about this? I think this is a little bit more of a debatable card. I don't think you can just safely bring this into the format. I don't mind it being in the format, I don't care. But maybe some other people do. But definitely there should be more punishment to non-basic lands than we do have in Modern. I mean, that's why that's why the Omnath decks, or the Uro decks in a previous lifetime, and now the Omnath decks are just free to go. You can go 4 colors, you can go 5 colors, you can play these 5-color Bring to Light decks. There's no cost. There's really not that much cost. Burn is the fun police we need. Not the one we necessarily want, but it is the one that we need. Then reprint Ruination? What is that? No, it's not. This is not that big of a deal. This is 4 mana. It gets too hard. It's too hard. We need 2 mana. Burn's never going to play that card. Oh god, no. We do not need this card in the format. Allosaurus Shepherd. I do not approve of this card in the format. I think this is out. I don't know. I mean, elves could use a boost. Elves could use a boost. But this card is just beyond stupid. It can't be countered. Green spells can't be countered. Not just your elves, even your Court of Callings and stuff like that. Your collected companies. And then, you know, we have for 6 mana until end of turn, each elf creature you control has base power and toughness. 5/5 and becomes a dinosaur. So it's just a win condition in itself. This is absolutely ridiculous. What else do we got? So a lot of people... Okay, some people are on the back to basics idea. Trickbind already exists and see no... Yeah, that's why it has to be 1 mana. Yeah, people say trick... You know, they say Trickbind. And then what was the one that Spiring Spike likes that I think is 2 mana? You know, counter target... I think it's triggered ability and counter a legendary spell. Submerged! That's a nice one. That actually would be good for this format. If an opponent controls a forest and you control an island, you can play Submerged without paying its mana cost. Put target's creature on top of its owner's library. That'd be nice. I mean, a lot of people will hate it. Oh, man. That's actually great against, like, Primeval Titan. So, get this. They get the Primeval Titan onto the battlefield. Trigger to look through their library. Use Submerge in response. Goodbye, Primeval Titan. Just basically solve the Primeval Titan plan with 1 card. The Gene, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. If Modern is the fetch land format, back to basics in addition to Blood, Alpine, Magus of the Moon, and Spreading Seas feels strange. No, I don't think so. Well, how is Modern the fetch land format? And what does it even matter? It's just, well, that's what I think makes back to basics fair. You're gonna force your opponent to get basics and not abuse, you know, dual lands or tri lands. They want to go down that route, then they're gonna get hit with the back to basics. So I don't think it's weird at all. Not to mention there are other lands out there that are not fetch lands. You know, Tron lands, the Karoo lands. You know, those bounce lands. So there's more out there. And also like the channel lands. So there's a lot of non-fetch lands in the format. Alright, what else do we have? True Name Nemesis. What are you naming all the legacy cards? True Name Nemesis. Wait, we already talked. Wasteland. Nobody wants Wasteland in the format. Nobody. So wait, you're the only person that wants Wasteland? You know what I wouldn't mind though? The Elemental Blasts. I wouldn't mind these cards in the format. I don't think I would mind. I think we're also at the power level where we can play these damn things. Red Elemental Blast. Blow up your Murktide Regent. Done. You know, we don't care about these Murktides anymore. It's powerful though, don't get me wrong, they are powerful, but if we get the red Elemental Blast, we get the blue Elemental Blast. Counter target red spell, destroy target red permanent. Goodbye, Goblin Guide. If we get blue Elemental Blast, maybe I don't even need to splash white for Merfolk anymore. Maybe I don't even need to splash white for Merfolk. Fiery Conflux? What is this? Fiery Conflux. I don't know what this card is. Sorry about that. Would him be too powerful? Probably not. Probably not at all. I think this would be within the power level of Modern. Double black, target player discards 2 cards at random. I mean, we have him in Modern, don't we? We have him. You just play Grief plus Ephemerate. That's him at home. It's basically the same thing. In fact, it's turn 1, right? And it's worse, because they get to actually choose what they take from you. Well, I mean, in some ways it's better, because it's a non-land card. Him can hit the land cards. But in some sense, we already have him. I don't know if I want to put this in Modern. High Tide? I don't think there's anything good about this card if we put it in Modern. This seems like a bad idea. Until end of turn, whenever a player taps an island for mana, that player adds an additional blue. There's nothing good. This is the type of card, it's not going to help the format, it's only going to hurt the format. Somebody... Well, I mentioned Stifle at the beginning, so you got to catch the replay. Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Stifle. Huge fan of Stifle one day getting into Modern. That's a safe one. That's a nice... limited playable that they could throw in there. Psychotog, absolutely. Blue, black, 1 generic, 1/2 creature, discard a card from your hand. Psychotog gets +1/+1 until end of turn. But then you can remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. Psychotog gets +1/+1 until end of turn. That's a nice... It's a nice limited playable that could, hey, if someone can make this work. Does anyone even think this would be playable in Modern? I honestly don't think so. I don't think this would see play anywhere. Discard a card from your hand. Psychotog gets... Maybe as a discard outlet, it could be an enabler somewhere, but I actually think this is not going to ever happen. Oh, the Gene sends me more money. Thank you so much this morning. Okay, you get your back to basics, and we don't need to ban anything in Yorian money pile. Thanks for your content. You're welcome. There you go. We don't have to... We ban less cards. We just let the cards figure itself out. But you honestly, they'd still complain. They would absolutely, the Orient players would be like, oh, why have to print such powerful cards? They're rotating the format. See, either they're going to complain that they're banning cards, or they're rotating the format with new powerful cards. So you can't win. I love this one. Rishon Import. This is long overdue. Long overdue. Rishon Import is like a really, really fair way of like mana denial. I mean, this could be the modern Wasteland. Add a mana to your mana pool, but you can pay 1 tap target land. That'd be great again. It would make all the creature lands useless, but at the same time, we already have things like Field of Ruin, which are standard in so many deck lists. So yeah, I'm totally for Rishon Import. It could see play in a lot of Aether Vial decks. You better believe the Death and Taxes techs. They will be on this like flies on crap. They will be on it immediately. Completely adopted. They were born in Rishon Imports. So, and it's a nice picture. I like the good old classic Rishon Import picture. Tangle Wire, that's a safe one to put in the... It's very safe. Tangle Wire is definitely safe. This... What would play this? Tron, maybe? Fading 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls with for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. So this is a pretty cool card. Fading 4. So like at the beginning of your upkeep, you have to remove a fading counter, and then you just with that on the stack, you let it resolve first, and then each player's upkeep, you tap that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land they control for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. Lantern would play it probably. I don't know. Would they? Maybe. Lotus Petal? Absolutely not. This just enables Degeneracy. That is a Degeneracy card. Not safe. Lock it up. Lock it up. Look, it's restricted. It's restricted in Vintage, for crying out loud. You want to put that into Modern? I'm surprised it's legal. I mean, I guess it's just the culture of a Legacy that it's legal in Legacy. No, that Lotus Petal is busted. It's a 0 mana card. That's the last thing we need is more 0 mana stuff contaminating our beautiful 0 mana cards with no cost. I have no problem with Subtlety, Solitude, Fury. You have to pay the card. But I do think we should have things like Stifle to at least create the blowout if they go for that free thing and then, it doesn't work out. That's an interesting... Don't we have Toxic Deluge, though. Okay, so let's look at Toxic Deluge. I think you could print this one. I think we could have this one in Modern. There's an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. I can't help but feel like they made Dead of Winter as a replacement to this card, so... Baleful Strix. I don't think... Like, that's another one. Like, I think we could have that one in Modern. I don't have any problem with it. But they made Ice Fang Quaddle, right? So Flying Death Touch, ETB, draw a card. And frankly, I would prefer Baleful Strix in the format. It's an artifact and it doesn't have flash. So actually, this is an even more busted card that's in our format. It's far more busted. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I looking back, I'm like, oh, that's sort of a watered down Baleful Strix. But actually, in practice, I think this is superior. This is just beyond stupid. Gilded Drake is reserve list. They're never going to give it to us. Didgeridoo also reserve list. Oh, yes. Crystalline Sliver. I thought they were going to do this in the first... Okay. I seriously thought we were going to see this card in the first Modern Horizons. And then... Because that's what Slivers needs. And he said they were going to support the tribal decks. And one tribe that desperately needs this card is the Slivers. They're a really good deck. They have everything, except they cannot protect their creatures for F-all. They gave us Unsettled Mariner. Doesn't work. I know a lot of the Merfolk community likes that card, but it doesn't work. Crystalline Sliver, it works! Slivers can't be the target of spells or abilities, including my Mutavaults on the other side of the board. So the deal is the Crystalline Sliver... I thought it was going to be in Modern Horizons 1. Then I thought, oh, they're going to follow it up in Modern Horizons 2. We still don't have this. I am totally for this card. I'm 100% for this card. Hull Breacher. Ooh. Can we have this one? I don't know if we can play with this one. What do you guys think? Is this safe for Modern? I think this would be pretty busted. I think a control deck will play this. It won't be for the Merfolk deck, that's for sure. A blue and 2 generic 3/2 flash creature. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one that they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. Is this fair? I mean, it might be of Modern's power level, and it's just gonna hurt. And it does hurt people who try to abuse card draw. I don't know if this is like fair though. I don't think so. It depends on the opponent. Kappa Cannon. Wait, don't we have this already? Hull Breacher, Burning Inquiry in Modern? Hell yeah, that would be a huge blowout. And like, even like, what's it called? No, not Goblin Lore. Yeah, it would just be Burning Inquiry. There's got to be some other cards. But this is ridiculous. This is a bit ridiculous. We have Narset. It's probably fine. So yeah, Narset plus... No. Anyway, it's just Hull Breacher, and then you create some wheel effect. I don't know. Maybe it's janky. Maybe it's janky. Like, we don't have like Wheel of Fortune or anything in this format. Hull Breacher into Teferi's Puzzle Box, but those are clunky, janky cards. This is a tough one to recognize. Muxus. I don't know about that one either. The problem is it's an ETB. If it was something like Winota, which funny is banned everywhere, but not in Modern because we have all the removal. Aha, Modern has the answers to modern day problems. Who would have thought? But this is when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all goblin creature cards with converted mana cost 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever Muxus attack, like the rest of this doesn't even matter. So Muxus just fills the board with tons of stuff, and you know that there's the haste goblins out there. They've got haste goblins. So what do you guys think about Muxus? Yeah, Jim Davis intensified. Muxus is a big no. I want to say this is a no. Not to mention, like, it looks like it's 6 mana, but Skirk Prospector says no. Like, they've got the mana ramp. Sack a goblin, add red mana. And they can sack a bunch of token goblins to get this stupid thing out. This like dominated Historic for a good chunk of time, and also saw Legacy play. I think it's yes for Muxus. Oh snap, no. Muxus way too strong. Hard hell no on Muxus. Muxus is an easy turn 3 play. Interesting. Okay, it's a little mixed, but I think for the most part, we're in agreement that we do not want to see this card in the format. Chris Ross with the super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I want to see Centaur Vine Crasher. printed in Modern set, I would totally build a deck around him and Jared. Plus Snap and Dark Ritual would be bonkers. They're never printing Dark Ritual. That is not happening. But Centaur Vinecrasher is not Modern legal. Alright, so for a green and 3 generic, we have a 1/1 Trampler. But when it enters the battlefield, the number of 1/1 counters on it equal... Put a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the number of land cards in all graveyards. Whenever a land card is put into a graveyard from anywhere, you may pay green. If you do, return Centaur Vinecrasher from your graveyard to your hand. This is very modern. I don't think it's modern playable, but it's definitely modern safe. No one, you can have your Centaur Vinecrasher. Everyone gets to have one of these cards. What was the other card you mentioned? Dark Ritual is absolute not. Oh, Snap is totally fair. Yeah, we could have Snap in this format. Why not? So it's a blue and 1 generic. Return target creature to its owner's hand and untap up to 2 lands. Unless someone can tell me how to abuse this thing. But I don't think there is. You can play infinite Eternal Witnesses. If you have Utopia Sprawl on a land and another land, you could play Eternal Witness, bring Snap back to your hand, re-snap. Oh, you paid the mana. You have to float the mana, play Snap, untap 2 lands, play this thing again. Oh, and you float mana. You have infinite mana. Interesting. Palace Jailer. Is this fine? When Palace Jailer enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. When Palace Jailer enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the Monarch. Seems fine to me. I'd play Snap with Spell Quellers and Teferi 3, but Azusa is probably the biggest real offender. Nikachu, weren't you going to build an ally deck for Pride Month? Oh, well, someone suggested that. I was not hard committed to it. Oh, man, those allies. There's some okay allies. Oh, look at that. We got the Gene. Gene's back. You know how to get your comment in. You just pay $5. I wonder if Contamination would be a win condition in Modern, like it's like in Singleton's format. Snap is busted in Pauper. Last drop of money. Thanks for the money. So hold on, Contamination. What is this thing? During your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, sacrifice Contamination. Whenever a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of its normal type of mana. During your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, sacrifice Contamination. It's funny, I don't really see this seeing play anywhere. Yeah, so it's like a bad Blood Moon. It's bad. It's not. Whenever a land is tapped for mana. Actually, no, it's worse than Blood. It's better than Blood Moon in a way, because you know, even the basics tap. Absolutely not Brainstorm. Now that is a good, you know, I joke about, you know, Serum Visions and stuff, but Brainstorm should be banned in Legacy. The Legacy players just don't even know it. Umezawa's Jite. I'm 100% on board with that. And they say, like, oh, this is going to hurt the tribal decks. I do not give a rat. You know, at this point, I don't even care about this card. I didn't even care about it 2 years ago. I seriously did not care about this card once. But, like, now, with the development of Modern, I really don't care. The whole concept of attacking and dealing any sort of combat damage so that you can give a creature -2/-2 is just a bit beyond me. Keith Stoles. Oh, we gotta give a shout out to Nizahan Magic. Yeah, new video, Merfolk deck history video. He gave you a shout out, talked about your top 8 in Vancouver and Simic Fish in 2020. It's 12 minutes. And yeah, I saw the video. So we'll hold on, let me go give a shout out to this video. Merfolk deck history. So here we are. So you get from Nizahan Magic, Nizzahon Magic. Merfolk Magic's first and best tribal deck. Magic the Gathering deck history number 40. Highly recommended. I wish he mentioned the 2 Grand Prix wins that we had with Merfolk. He just skipped to me. some good marketing right there. You know, you skipped me, you mentioned me in the format, then I'm going to advertise it. I'm going to post it on my socials, give it the retweets. 7.4k views, deserves more, deserves a lot more. Other than that, it was a very good video. Loved it. Went over like the old formats as well. Even extended. Oh, Merfolk was something in extended. It was something. All right, we're gonna talk. Okay, we're gonna talk more cards from Modern Horizons 3, but of course, the one thing we have to talk about each and every single day, our favorite thing to do, is talk about the sponsors. FusionGamingOnline.com. Deal of the week this week: save up to 20% off all gaming accessories, deck box, sleeves, binders, the dice. All the accessories, they got it in store at FusionGamingOnline.com. All the good brand names. Don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu, though, at checkout for an additional 5% off all your purchases. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And your route to playtesting, you know, even Legacy, to find out what cards you want to see in Modern. And if you want to playtest those decks, don't forget to use my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_WBN. Gitaxian Probe is in Modern. It's banned. Got banned a long time ago. Some people haven't been around long enough to know that Gitaxian Probe was completely banned. Same thing with Deathrite Charm, and it's banned in Legacy too. You people. Thomas Daniels with the super chat, thank you so much. Muxus is fine. People need to let Tribal have stuff. Okay, hold on. If we get Muxus, we have to get like every stifle effect possible. We need all the stifle effects. Because otherwise, I think this is beyond BS. Maybe it would be fair, actually, if they had Stifle. But it would only be fair for the blue decks. And then it would be just complete mayhem for everybody else. Because we could Stifle the ETB trigger. So, like, you sack your whole board to Skirk Prospector, get a Muxus in play, Stifle. Ooh. I think Humility is a reserve list card. Yeah, this is reserve list. Part of the reserve list. Ain't showing up. Good old Tempest. All the good cards are reserve list. And a lot of really bad cards. Horizon sets were a mistake. Pretty much turned Modern into a very expensive standard. It was always a very expensive standard. What are you talking about? What kind of take is that? There was... Modern has always been around like $600 to $1,000. Now it's just like $800 to $1,500. What? Blue unfair? Exactly. Is Show and Tell? I think Show and Tell is not part of the reserve list. I don't think we want this in the format though. How do we feel about Show and Tell? It can backfire. And this is a way more like creature-centric format. How do we feel about Show and Tell? We have we do have Sneak Attack. We honestly have Sneak Attack in the format. How are we feeling? It's alright. Negative, big note, you, no thanks. Mind you, we can still ramp turn 2 into this thing. Turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, turn 2 Show and Tell. Guess what I brought to school? Nope, absolutely not. Like that take. Oh, we mentioned Psychotog. We agree, Psychotog should come in. We could get Sneak and Show in Modern. Omnitel would be too strong. All right, I think we're somewhat in an agreement. This card is just like, this card is clearly powerful. Like, you know, I'm starting this discussions to see if we can get any like pretty good cards that are on the same level and power of our format. Misdirection, love it. I love it. And actually, like, I really like this card. I love the OG card. I got this in foil, so if this shows up in Modern, cha-ching! What is my foil? Not to brag. Misdirection. It's like one of my favorite foils that I owned, like when I first started playing Magic. Market foil. Not doing too bad. 200, well, I don't know. someone bought it for like 60 bucks. Anywho. I would love to see this thing in the format. Would love it. And on that note, we could have Divert. Like, what's wrong with having Divert in the format? Blue, change the target of target spell with a single target unless that spell's controller pays 2 mana. Would love it. Don't sell your cards unless you need the money or have a plan for that money. I didn't sell my Misdirection. Misdirection isn't in Modern? Nope. Not in Modern at all. Not legal. Legal in Legacy. Yeah, there it is. No, it has never been legal in Modern. Oh, we've got MTG Ectoplasm. Thanks for the $5. We need a Peekaboo, a 1-mana spirit that has Peek spell attached to it. I don't care if it was legendary. Or we have that in Merfolk. Does it still draw the card? I would love that. That would be sick. 1 mana. We're almost there, really. We're almost there. We're almost at that power level. We can play like 1-drops that draw cards. Shambra wants Disrupt. Yeah, we could definitely have this in Modern. I don't think it would disrupt anything. I think that's totally fair for Modern. That's definitely Modern power level. 1 blue, counter target instant sorcery, unless they pay 1, but you draw a card. So it would create like a Daze dynamic within the format, you know? Do I want to hold up an extra mana? I don't want my opponent to draw a card off of this. That'd suck. We don't have Predict in Modern? I guess we don't. Yeah, we don't have Predict in Modern. Blue and 1 generic. Choose a card name. Then target player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. If that card has the chosen name, you draw 2 cards. Otherwise, you draw a card. It's easy peasy. Mishra's Bauble. Predict. I'm a genius. It's probably Modern. Like, all it is draw 2 cards, right? I actually don't think this is broken at all. We already have, like, what's it called? That new blue-black card that got into the format. 27, Noetic, you gotta refresh. We just talked about Divert, like 5 minutes ago. Tidal Courier in Modern. Alright, let's look at Tidal Courier. I don't even know what this card does. And it's a Merfolk, and it's not Modern legal. 4 mana for 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all Merfolk cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Why can't we have it in, like, on the battle? Put it onto the battlefield. Pay a blue, 3 generic. Tidal Courier gains flying until end of turn. Honestly, not really impressed. I would at least like it to be like a 2/2 for 4 mana. Are you nuts, Dark Ritual? Not a chance. Not a chance. Never happening. Never. Impossible. Tendrils of Agony and Cabal Ritual. Again, I don't think there's anything good about bringing rituals into the format, but Tendrils is probably fine. Give Storm players a new toy. Maybe give them a reason to go black. I think that's totally fine. Target player loses 2 life, gain 2 life, and Storm. I think it's good. Careful Study. Hold on, I'm missing it. I actually, well, I think this is a fair Faithless Looting, but no, it's not a fair Faithless Looting. So we talked about this before. The most powerful part of Faithless Looting is the front end, not the back end. So drawing 2 cards for 1 mana and discarding 2 cards, that's what makes Faithless Looting so good. Yeah, sure, it has flashback, that's great. But it's the front end which is the most busted, not the back end. So your most explosive starts are with Careful Study. Definitely not coming into the format, not a chance. Oh, there's so much discussion here. Oath of Druids? What? Are you guys just like spitballing just random busted cards you want to see in this format? I don't think this card has a chance of seeing play in the format either. We went over Baleful Strix. I think we could definitely have it. Actually, Baleful Strix, I think, enters that. So I think there's a certain range. Like, I saw Cabal Therapy in chat. Baleful Strix, Cabal Therapy. I think this is a range of cards that they're just not going to print because they made like a modern version of it. So instead of Baleful Strix, we had the Quaddle, right? We had Ice Fang Quaddle. And instead of Cabal Therapy, they gave us Cabal Therapist? Was that it? Yeah, it was. So they gave us Cabal Therapy. Cabal Therapy at home, ladies and gentlemen. Cabal Therapy at home. Dig Through Time is legal in Modern. It's banned. Sylvan Library. Now these recommendations are just beyond stupid at this point, but whatever. Let's entertain it for a second. Sylvan Library at the beginning. DK just wants, I don't know, wants to turn Modern into Legacy. So Sylvan Library, green 1 generic. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand that drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put the card back on top of your library. So you get to brainstorm effectively every turn, in some sense. Infinite brainstorms is cool. Okay, how many people want to see Sylvan Library? There is a cost to this card. I mean, 4 life is not nothing. And you better believe we're going to get... You know what? If we're reprinting Sylvan Library, we got to do Fire Blasts. We're going to make sure that they feel the pain of burn. I saw Fire Blast up there. And I'm totally fine with this card in Modern, by the way. I think this card would be clunky, to be honest. So, like, the burn players now have to sacrifice white, which is a big deal. Lightning Helix is a huge strategic card for them. Gaining life is like gaining a turn. And also, cards like Boros Charm have a lot of utility because it also deals 4 damage, but can also protect their creatures versus sweepers against control decks. So if they go Fire Blast, they can't play the Inspiring Vantages anymore. They can't play the Horizon lands. They'd have to go mono red. So there's a deck building cost to it. There's a huge deck building cost. This card is not clunky. And also, if you have multiples in hand, it's clunky. Believe me, like, if you want to play Fire Blast, you will have to play a mono red burn deck. And you'll lose access to Path to Exile, Core Firewalker. You will sacrifice a lot for this extra 4 damage. Now, maybe you'll come out ahead. Maybe that will be the case. But Fire Blast would completely change how you play burn. And I don't know if it would be a net positive. I really don't know. Birchlore Ranger. Tap 2 elves you control. Add 1 mana vein color to your mana pool. I think we can give this to elves. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with giving this to elves. Nothing wrong at all. Vexing Shusher. I want to say that this card exists. Yeah, it's modern legal already. It's already modern legal. We don't... Congratulations! It's in modern! You can build around this card. You can build around it. Yafufu says Grindstone. I think this is totally fine. Yep. I don't know if anyone would use it. Stop suggesting already modern legal cards or banned cards. Yeah. Well, some people might not know that they're modern legal because I'm like this last one, the Shusher. I can see a lot of people not knowing this is modern legal because you never see it in modern, so you just assume that it's just not legal in modern. Deranged Hermit is a reserve list card. Oh no, wait a minute, no, yeah, Deranged Hermit is a reserve list card. We have it though. We have it already. Oops. We have like they printed like almost the identical damn thing in Modern Horizons. I think Modern Horizons 1. Veteran Explorer. Treachery is reserve. You can't mention reserve list cards because they're not going to print them. I guess today I'm learning you guys don't know what cards are reserve list and which one are not. Okay, I'll look up Veteran Explorer. What does this card do? Green 1/1. When an explorer dies, each player may search their library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield. Then each player who searches their library this way shuffles it. I think this could see play in Modern. I think this is a safe include. It's a totally safe include. I don't think they gave us Giver of Runes, so I don't think they're gonna give us Mother of Runes. They gave us the Modern version of it. What is Victimize? Victimize, choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard, sack a creature. If you do, return the chosen creatures to the battlefield tapped. I think this is totally safe. I think there are cards similar to this already in Modern and they don't see play. 3 mana for a Reanimator card that you also have to sack a creature and play. That's tough. It's not the greatest. Soul Ring's banned in Legacy is definitely not going to see. Dust to Dust. What is that? Dust to Dust. Exile 2 target artifacts. Is this really better than 4? I mean, hey, if you're not in green, so you can't play Force of Vigor, maybe this is... Is this really that good? I mean, that's... I think it's fair. I think it's fine. You could put this in Modern, no problem. Send it, print it tomorrow. Just put it straight into Modern. I have no problem with this thing being in Modern. The real question is it going to see any play once it gets there? Pemin's Aura is totally fine. All auras are basically unplayable. True-Nate Nemesis. Now, I think we could print this in Modern. A lot of people are not going to agree with me. A lot of people are going to say, well, the Stoneblade decks, they're going to get out of control, which I also don't even think is true. And I think this card is already kept in check by things like Plague Engineer. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel? Should we have True Name Nemesis in Modern? I think this card, it will see play. It will see play. I'm like, there's no doubt about that. But is it like overwhelming to the Modern format? I don't think so. Morphling is also reserve list. That used to be insanely powerful back in the day. Today I learned chat doesn't know which cards are reserve list and which one is not. Yes, True Name Nemesis. True Name Nemesis is okay. So far we've discovered the blue mages in chat. These must be blue mages. So people are like, no, Mo. No, for sure. Will you play it? Absolutely, I will play it. I will play it in a heartbeat. Goodbye. I don't know. Even Sveilun, maybe. How do you deal with True Name Nemesis? You counterspell it, you race it, you just destroy it, you Ugin it, you play, you can play old destroy effects, you can play Plague Engineer. It's not even that great. You can play an Edict effect. It's really not as strong as it looks. It's a good card, but there's there's many methods of getting rid of a True Name Nemesis. And it might give a little bit more power to Stoneblade decks, which a little weaker, on the weaker side. Chain Lightning, that's a safe include. I don't even know if Burn even wants to play with this card because Chalice of the Void is a pretty prominent card in Modern. And right now, Burn is actually better because they're playing things like Riftbolt, Skewer the Critics, which is basically a Chain Lightning, like an additional 1 mana, 3 damage spell, but the CMC is 3. The mana value is 3. Oh, that's a nice one, actually. I think we could have this in Modern. Council's Judgment. White. It's basically like for 3 mana, deal with anything on the battlefield. Starting with you, each player votes for a non-land permanent you don't control. Exile each permanent with the most votes or tied for the most votes. So basically, the player just goes white. Just casts Council's Judgment, and for 3 mana they get rid of anything that's on the battlefield. We need more cards against blue. Okay, what are some cards we could play against blue? What's Cataclysm? Each player chooses amongst the permanents he or she controls an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land, and sacks the rest. Yeah, I think this is definitely, you could bring this in. Choke is legal already. What are you talking about? I honestly, today, I can't tell if you guys are trolling or you guys don't know what's already legal in Modern. Or Reserve List. So now we got Trevor Justin. I mean, we're definitely at trolling territory. I'm pretty sure Shahrazad is Reserve List. Pretty sure. And banned everywhere, including Vintage, and it's part of the Reserve List. That is a big no-no. The card that's legal nowhere. Not even in Commander. Alright, you heard the music. It means it's time for Decklist review. So, if you've got a decklist you want to share with us, get some feedback, go into the description. There's a link to my Discord. Join the Discord, find channel Decklist review, and then enter the command !review deck space, give the URL to your decklist, and you'll be eligible at random for Decklist review. Wasteland. Actually, this whole thing, I'll just touch on Wasteland. This whole discussion today actually got spurred off by yesterday's discussion on Wasteland. And then I asked the chat, like, can we get Wasteland in Modern? And it was almost unanimous. There was like one person that wants to see Wasteland in Modern. Everyone else said, no, this is not happening. It would completely warp the format. If you thought Murktide was good, wait until you see it with... And I said, even if Wrenn and 6 was banned, so assuming Wrenn and 6 is banned, can we have Wasteland in the format? And it was pretty unanimous. People do not want to see Wasteland in Modern. You know what would be really cool? If we could do polls on YouTube, like, cleanly. Then we could, like, have polls for each one of these cards that we bring up, and then I let the chat decide, do we bring this into Modern or not? That would be really cool. Can we do polls? Is there something? Is there like a command / poll? Do we have that yet? Nope. I have there's no command. Just made me post a comment. All right then. Let's get the Decklist review. 12-ounce skillet. You're the next contestant on Decklist review. Got some Death Shadowy deck, I see. June 2022, Budget Jund. Nikachu check comments. Thank you. I like that, actually. You know, I never immediately go to the comments because I don't even know if there is going to be comments. All right, let's immediately go to the comments. That's good. That was smart. This is the smartest submission by Decklist review ever. They know the psychology of Decklist review. All right, Deck Primer. Hey, Nikachu, a few months ago, I got lucky that you checked my list the first time I submitted it. Yeah, that is lucky. Unfortunately, you did not read the comments. I'm building a Jund deck and adding $100 per month. Please advise the most effective $100 I can add each month to make it better. Last time I submitted, you focused on my mana base. I have since added a bunch of fetch lands, shock lands, and one Wrenn and 6. With Wrenn and 6 on sale to the upcoming reprint, I am tempted to focus on that in the upcoming months, but maybe I should wait for it to drop further to jump on it. Coffee Crew, help. I 100% agree. Look, don't get the card now, get it later. The cards, I don't know why, but like, the market is slow with Magic for like the prices to drop. So I mean, if you look at something like, let's say, Misty Rainforest. Let's take a look at Misty Rainforest for a second. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, so Modern. So first off, it was announced like a long time ago that Misty Rainforest was getting reprinted. Long time ago. No one's using this card. But it's not until Misty Rainforest is literally on the market that the price crashes. You see that? Look at that huge drop. So Modern Horizons 2 comes out, which had the fetch lands. Boom! Bear market territory. And it's still going down. It's still going down. It should have been doing that immediately. Like, the moment they advertise, like, we knew, I don't know how long ago we knew. Like, there was no even any reason for it to spike up. We knew this card was getting reprinted. And I guess to some extent, we never know the quantity that it goes down. But generally speaking, like, sometimes, like the Horizon set, the first Horizon set was on low supply. So cards didn't really even go down that much, even with reprints. And same thing happened with, Well, they only made like a retro foil of Force Negation, but the card didn't go down that much. But still, like very often when there's a reprint, the card doesn't go down until it's actually physically on the market. It dropped from 95 to 70 immediately when it was announced Modern Horizons 2. Well, it should have went down here. I think you have a lot of room to, let's look at Ren and 6. At the bottom of chat, there's an option to create a poll. Is there? I have to, maybe from not where I am, but maybe on YouTube I can. What is this? This is not Ren. Okay, so we have a bit of a crash here, but I think actually it could go way further the moment this is physically on the market. So, you could wait on that one. You could wait on that one. Okay, so definitely you upgrading your mana base is easily the best thing you can do to improve your deck, especially for a 3-color deck, because you are most of the time you're going to lose in Magic because your mana base sucks. Like if you miss, you know, let's say you have Liliana the Veil ready for turn 3, but you don't have your second black source because you're playing a budget mana base or a land had to come into play tapped or some stupid thing is happening, then you can't play your card, and you need to play basically every single card on curve. Even with a great mana base, you can still like miss out on your curve. And the worse your mana base gets, the more basically more non-games you produce. So I highly recommend that the first thing that you upgrade is the mana base, because a lot of the threats, you have a lot of threats that you can change. Like you have Dragon Rage Channeler, you have Tarmogoyf, and you have Bloodbraid Elf, and I'm sure you want to play with Ragavan, but it's too expensive. I would hold off on Ragavan because there's a lot of different other creatures that you could play in replacement of Ragavan. And you know what? Ren and 6, Grist, Liliana the Veil. I think this is a fantastic creature suite. Fatal Push, Inquisition, Lightning Bolt, Thoughtseize, Unholy Heat, Riveteer's Charm. You may not even need any more. So I would definitely upgrade the mana base first, slowly over time, and then you go for the Ragavans. Ragavan also seems to be, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's really stable. It's like not even budging. It's like no one wants to pay more for it, no one wants to pay less. It's funny. You buy your fetch lands first, you get your good mana base. So, and if you have to, $100, I think these are on sale now. So you got the Verdant Catacombs. Bloodstained Mire might be a pain. I don't know what the best mana base looks like, to be honest, but I mean, if you look at Jund lists, you'll probably get a pretty good idea. So I definitely focus on the mana base first, and then go for your Ren and 6s second, because you're about to get a sale. You're about to get a deal on Ren and 6s, and then you can go for the Ragavans last. I think your instinct served you well. All right, thanks for submitting the deck list. Next. That's nice. I like that. If you've got comments, put it in the title. Guarantees I'm going to go see them comments. And someone remind me on my stream to make like an ally deck. I think that's a great idea for Pride Month. We make an ally deck while it's still June. I totally forgot about that. That was like a recommendation like back in February or something like that. Stomp, punch, kill hard, break, fight, win, smash from Foe Hammer. I have no idea what that means. Okay, this is Pioneer. Get the Pioneer glasses on, people. We're not in Modern anymore. Ren and 6 will be cheaper when, yeah, the 2x2 double masters. Ren and 6 will never be less than $70 because it's best planeswalker and it will always be a mythic. Disagree. You have enough of them out there in the market, price will go down. Oh, Charlie's happy. It's his deck. All right, so Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, Shakedown Heavy. Whenever it attacks, a defending player may have you draw a card. If they do, untap Shakedown Heavy and remove it from combat. Demi-Goth, Woe Eater. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack a creature. When you sack a creature, Demi-Woe Eater, each opponent discards a card, and you draw a card, you gain 1 life. Hold on, this is pretty good. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack a creature. Whenever you sacrifice Demi-Woe Eater, oh, you can sack itself. Each opponent draws a card. Each opponent discards a card. You draw a card. You gain 2 life. All right, that's a bit ugly, but it's a 7/6 creature for 4 mana, so that's not terrible. Titan of Industry. Okay, so how do we get all these big things in play? Desolator Twin. I didn't even know this card is a card. When you cast the spell, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Alrighty then. Commune with Spirits. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an enchantment or land card from among them, put it into your hand. Putrefy. Storm the Festival. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put up to 2 permanent cards with mana value of 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Has flashback of a billion. How do you cast any of these cards? Fight Rigging. Hideaway. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Binding of the Gods. I have no idea how you cast any of this stuff. This deck is unplayable. This deck is completely unplayable. You'll be dead before you know it. So what I would recommend taking the mono green Devotion Shell, take their mana base, throw it in here, and I don't know if you can hold on to the black cards. Yeah, this is Pioneer. Well, the Force Negation got reprinted, but it didn't get reprinted. It got reprinted in like a very rare foil. Sorry, rare foil and a rare retro frame. It did not get printed with the regular boosters. So that's the difference. Force Negation was in its own like separate print run. So you can't compare Force Negation in that case. People assume Force Negation was going to get reprinted like all the other Modern Horizons 2 cards, but it wasn't. It was in like it was in a specialty product. I mean, in Standard might be playable. No, I don't even think it'd be playable in Standard. Okay, so here's the deal. This is my best recommendation to you. You have to dump the black cards, and that's probably going to hurt. And if you want to play this sort of big chunky stuff, you have to adopt the mono green mana base in Pioneer. Like, what did they do? Devotion's a real deck. Like, it's a real deck. Like, and they abuse things like definitely Nykthos, mono green ramp. So essentially, this is what they do. They play 4 Elvish Mystic elves, some Sylvan Caryatids, Forest Lair of the Hydra, but 4 Nykthos. But they also have this early chonky stuff for that Nykthos. I don't know how this is going to work for you. I mean, I'm just telling you straight up. Like, I would be building a completely new deck for you if I would just be building a whole new deck if I were to recommend things. Your curve is too high. Your curve is way too high. It basically starts at 4, which is just very unreasonable. Beginning of combat on your turn, put a counter on target creature. Like, this is just not going to do anything. Destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls. Search your library for a forest card. It would be possible if your curve stopped at 4 that this would be playable, but it goes higher. It goes to 7 to 9 to 10 to like 6. Read Fight Rigging. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter target creature you control. Then, if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. This changes nothing. Unless Hideaway does something. When this enchantment enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down. Then put the rest of them on the bottom of your library in any order. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a counter on target creature you control with... Then, if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, like this... Read Hideaway. When this enchantment enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. Exile one face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So what? Okay, so you put a big creature under Hideaway. What else? At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a counter on target creature you control. Then, if you control a creature with power 7 or greater, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. You think you're gonna get a 7 power creature in here? Like, what's the best you can do? Just shake down heavy? Oh, you can get these 2, so you absolutely depend on this card. It's still garbage. I'm telling you, it's still trash. If you do not have Fight Rigging at all, and it still needs to survive, you're not doing anything. I think also by the time you hit turn, for example, what is this? At best, you get this off turn 4. This is like best case scenario. You pull this off on turn 4, or maybe turn 3. Maybe you could pull this off on turn 3. You do have the mana ramp creatures. Okay, hold on. How quickly can we get this? Commune with spirits to find fight rigging. Between commune with spirits, this looks a little. It looks a lot more playable. Yeah, the dream is turn 3 Ulamog. Okay, what's the judgment? Is this thing gonna work? See, here's my problem with this. I think between commune with spirits and fight rigging, there's like, it's still not going to be consistent enough. Most of the time, you're going to be playing games with 3-card hands because you have these insanely clunky cards in your hand. Maybe you can slow down the game with Putrefy and binding the old gods. I've seen it work. It's possible. It's literally a tier deck in Explorer. Is it? Explorer is a much smaller format, though. Make no mistake, Pioneer is powerful. Pioneer is very, very, very powerful. Someone at my local game store has been using this to cheat in an Emrakul. I like Rotting Regisaur myself, actually. If we were going to play cards, I'd play with Rotting Regisaur instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Because this is more expensive. So this could be replaced by Rotting Regisaur. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, and Demigoth Titan. All right, if you guys think I'm not familiar with Explore, I don't know a single deck in Explore. So if this is a real deck in Explore trying to port it to Pioneer, okay, I'll be fine with this. It still looks like jank to me, and I know Pioneer is really powerful. Like, you can die in turn 4. You can die in turn 3. I don't know how good Nykthos would be in this deck because there's just no devotion. Like, Nykthos is good if you have devotion, but there's no devotion cards here. Okay, so our one suggestion is dump the Demigoth Woe Eater, add Rotting Regisaur. Is Traxos worth adding? To be trample. Enters the battlefield tapped and does an untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxos. You need artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. Maybe? Maybe. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, Thrasta not Pioneer legal. Modern Horizons 2. So maybe Traxos is possible because we do have some enchantments, right? We have the fight rigging and we have binding the old gods. That would work. I don't know if it's enough. You could play other Traxoses to untap it. Or actually, I guess, yeah, you could play another Traxos to untap it, and when the new legendary enters the battlefield, you just sack it or something. Witherfang says, Traxos is no good, never been. Okay, I think that's as much as I'll look at this deck. Sorry I was so harsh on it, but I've never seen this deck in play. And at the very least, I would like to see more like big cards that are at least somewhat reasonably playable. Like, this is not reasonably playable either. This deck needs more ramp. That could be true too. Maybe there should be a 4th Elvish Mystic. What is... Okay, hold on. I just want to quickly look at this Explorer deck. So what's it called? So it's called Jund Fight Rigging. Why the meta shares are so low? Gilded Goose, Llanowar Elves, Ronus, Rotting Regisaur, Shakedown. See, this deck... Okay, let me show you the difference between your deck and this deck. This deck has a chance in hell of casting their spells. Alright? That is the difference in this deck. This is why it is a tier deck. Look, 3 mana spell, you can cast that. 3 mana spell, you can cast that. 3 mana spell, you can cast that. 5 mana spell, a little clunky, but it's possible. Elder Gargoth, same in the same boat. Very strong card, a little clunky, but you know what? Late game, you'll play this thing. Titan of Industry, that is the only somewhat unplayable looking card I see in this deck. And that will be for fight rigging. And it's a little heavier. Well, does it play? I don't think it plays Nykthos. Doesn't look like it's a Nykthos deck. Then we have the Great Henge. Costs X less to cast, whereas X is the greatest power among creatures you control, which is reasonable if you're playing things like Rotting Regisaur. So I can get behind that deck. I can get behind something like that. But getting back to this one again, like 7 mana, unplayable. Well, okay, so you have this. You can have Titan of Industry, but you can only have so many of these cards. I would say I would max out at 4. You can have 4 completely unplayable cards in your deck. But I think this is a bit too expensive. This is too expensive. This is too expensive. This is too expensive. You have too many. So I would max out at 4. So you have what? You have 4, 9. You have 9 like payoffs to fight rigging, but the rest of the deck doesn't work if you don't have fight rigging in online. So you have to lower the number of these like super expensive cards. Yeah, too much sauce. Too much sauce. That's right. That's the way I'd look at it. That's my final verdict. You cut it down to 4, and then you fill in the cracks with things like, you know, Rotting Regisaur and just some like reasonably playable cards. And I think I could get behind that. But I think it's just too top heavy of all these silly nonsense that you want to put in play. And it's just going to be stuck in your hand most of the time. It's going to be stuck in your hand. All right, that's it for Coffee and MTG. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. We do this Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. I got a P.O. box. Send me stuff. If anyone sent me stuff, I gotta go check my P.O. box. And thanks so much for the super chats. I appreciate it. I loved all the super chats today. And we had a great discussion, of course, today. And thanks to all the members that have become part of the Nikachu crew. So thank you again, because the most important thing is you show up every day. If you don't show up, you know, the show sucks. So thanks so much for showing up every morning. And keep brewing up those coffees. And we'll keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you at the next